What if the one place designed to keep you alive is actually the architecture of your undoing, and safety is just another word for surrender? In The Safe Room, master of psychological suspense Lisa Unger delivers a short story that transforms domestic security into existential dread, proving that the most terrifying prisons aren't built with bars. They're constructed from love, fear, and the desperate need to control what cannot be tamed. This isn't merely a compact thriller, it's a concentrated dose of claustrophobic brilliance, where every locked door echoes with unspoken trauma, and every reinforced wall whispers of sacrifices made in the name of protection. From the first hushed narration, listeners are sealed inside a space where comfort curdles into captivity, and the line between sanctuary and tomb blurs with each passing hour. Perfect for fans of tight, character-driven suspense and stories that linger like smoke after the fire dies, this audiobook serves up relentless tension, moral ambiguity, and a revelation so intimate it feels like a violation of your own sense of security. When single mother Jess agrees to test her brother-in-law's state-of-the-art home safe room during a weekend storm, she expects reassurance, not to confront the ghosts of a family tragedy neither has spoken of in years. But as the steel door seals and the world outside vanishes, the confined space becomes a pressure cooker for buried grief, unresolved guilt, and the terrifying realization that her brother-in-law's obsession with safety stems not from care, but from a need to atone for a failure he's never named. Unger masterfully exploits the short story format to distill complex emotional dynamics into unbearable intensity, letting silence carry more weight than exposition and subtext scream louder than dialogue. The audiobook narration amplifies this suffocating intimacy, capturing Jess's fretting composure and her brother-in-law's controlled desperation with vocal performances that make every breath feel monitored and every pause pregnant with unsaid accusations. You don't just hear their confinement, you feel the air thinning with each shared memory, the walls closing in not physically but emotionally, until escape seems less about location and more about truth. What elevates The Safe Room beyond typical domestic suspense is its refusal to treat trauma as backstory or safety as virtue. The Safe Room isn't a plot device, it's a manifestation of male anxiety disguised as protection, a physical embodiment of the belief that love requires control. Jess's journey isn't about surviving a threat, but about recognizing how her own compliance has enabled a system that mistakes possession for care. Her brother-in-law isn't a villain, but a man drowning in regret, whose attempts to prevent future pain have only replicated past harm. Their dynamic evolves through forced proximity, tense silences that crack under the weight of shared history, moments of unexpected vulnerability that terrify them both because they're unearned, and confrontations where power shifts visibly as Jess refuses to perform gratitude for her own entrapment. Even the storm outside serves thematic depth, its chaos mirroring internal turbulence while highlighting the illusion of control within human-made fortresses. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. True safety isn't the absence of danger, but the presence of trust, and trust cannot exist where autonomy is surrendered. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive exercise in sustained unease. The narrator embodies Jess's evolving perspective with remarkable range, from polite accommodation to raw, trembling clarity, while her brother-in-law's voice carries a steadiness that gradually fractures under the weight of suppressed emotion, making his unraveling feel inevitable and devastating. Sound design enhances claustrophobia without gimmickry, the hum of ventilation systems marking artificial calm, distant thunder muffled by reinforced walls, the oppressive silence of a space designed to exclude all sound but your own heartbeat, all ground psychological stakes in sensory reality. Pacing mirrors the rhythm of confinement, deliberate during moments of reflection and forced conversation, then accelerating as confinement breaks down under mounting pressure. Whether you're commuting through open spaces or sitting in quiet solitude, the audiobook creates a portable cage where isolation feels absolute and time feels borrowed. Its storytelling is embodied suspense, transforming passive listening into active participation in a reckoning where freedom demands more than unlocking a door. It demands confronting what you've allowed to lock you in. Ultimately, The Safe Room redefines the short story form by proving that depth isn't measured in pages, but in resonance. It satisfies cravings for tight plotting and chilling atmosphere while delivering substantive commentary on gendered expectations of protection, the violence of well-intentioned control, and the radical act of claiming space within relationships built on sacrifice. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete, devastating experience. If you've ever mistaken safety for love, or wondered whether protection can coexist with freedom, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is step outside the room everyone says will keep you safe. Press play, brace yourself for the quiet horror, and prepare to question everything you've been told about security, sanity, and the cost of staying. Your next sleepless night isn't waiting in jump scares. It's waiting in the terrifying recognition that the safest place might be the most dangerous lie you've ever believed. When pastry chef Harper Lane agrees to chaperone her niece's summer camp reunion weekend, she expects burnt hot dogs and polite small talk, not an unexpected collision with Liam Callaghan, the camp's ruggedly handsome director who once broke her heart with a goodbye note left on a pillow 10 years ago. But as forced proximity reignites old sparks and new vulnerabilities surface between s'mores and midnight swims, Harper realized Liam didn't leave because he stopped caring. He left because he believed loving her would ruin the only stable thing in his chaotic upbringing. Now bound by shared history and present desire, they must navigate a labyrinth of unresolved feelings, protective instincts, and the question of whether love can exist without sacrificing the self. Bailey masterfully avoids reducing their reunion to mere nostalgia. Instead, she crafts two fully realized adults whose growth happened in separation, making their reconnection a collision of evolved selves rather than recycled wounds. The audiobook narration amplifies this emotional precision, capturing Harper's guarded warmth and Liam's quiet devotion with vocal nuances that make every loaded glance feel electric and every moment of tenderness feel earned. You don't just hear their story, you feel the seismic shift of two souls learning to trust again without erasing who they've become. What elevates S'more of You beyond typical summer romance fare is its unwavering commitment to female agency within reconciliation. Harper doesn't wait for Liam's apology to validate her worth. She's already reclaimed it through her craft, friendships, and boundaries forged in fire. Liam's journey isn't about winning her back through grand declarations, but about dismantling the belief that love requires self-sacrifice. Their bond evolves through collaboration, not coercion, late-night conversations that bypass small talk, collaborative efforts to save the camp from financial ruin that symbolize rebuilding trust, and moments where desire emerge from safety rather than performance. Supporting characters shine with lived-in depth, fellow counselors grappling with their own crossroads, campers whose innocence mirror adult longing, even the lake itself rendered as both sanctuary and mirror reflecting internal seasons. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. Love thrives not in flawless execution, but in the willingness to show up imperfectly together. Even the culinary elements serve thematic depth, with baking becoming ritual of repair and shared meals marking milestones of reintegration. For audiobook listeners, this production is pure auditory comfort with substance. The narrator embodies Harper and Liam with remarkable distinction. Harper's voice carries steel wrapped in dawning ease, while Liam's low timbre trembles with suppressed longing and growing certainty, making their chemistry palpable even during misunderstandings. Sound design enhances atmosphere without overwhelming intimacy. Distant loons calling at dusk, crackling campfires during vulnerable confessions, the rustle of sleeping bags marking moments of truth, all ground sensory beats in sensory reality. Pacing mirrors the rhythm of summer itself, unhurried during moments of reflection and connection, then gently accelerating as breakthroughs align with external pressures. Whether you're commuting through full-time laundry at twilight or sipping morning coffee, the audiobook creates a portable haven where escapism and introspection coexist seamlessly. Its storytelling is embodied invitation, transforming passive listening into active participation in a world that believes joy is worth the risk of mess. Ultimately, S'more of You redefines summer romance by centering mutual growth within summer magic. It satisfies genre cravings for satisfying chemistry and happy endings, while delivering substantive commentary on masculinity, healing, and the radical act of claiming space within relationships built on sacrifice. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete emotional journey. If you've ever believed love requires having it all together, or wondered whether happiness can exist outside achievement, this audiobook will affirm that true belonging begins when you stop curating your soul for approval. Press play, grab your blanket, and prepare to remember that sometimes the sweetest moments are the ones you never saw coming. Your next favorite romance isn't waiting in flawless vows. It's waiting in the brave, joyful choice to stay a little longer by the fire.